we are live as we speak. I think we should be live. Let me. Okay, I think it should be okay now. If I got his message via Facebook, I think we should be. I'm streaming, fellas. I'm streaming. What is it? What is it? I just started now to stream. Okay. I hope we're okay now. So we said the eternal rivals, right? Magnus and Nakamura. Of course, that's not to say we're not going to be looking at Ding Duran and who's playing? Who's playing Ding today? Hold on a sec. Event Ding is playing Prague. Incredibly tough match. Now Reza Fabi. Great games. I think we might be giving a bit of priority to this one in particular. Uh, they play Rui Lopez again, right? Spanish. Okay. Oh, Queens have been traded. Oh boy. Queens have been traded. Whose turn is it? Naka. Ooh. He only used 6 minutes? Wow. Only 6 minutes. Magnus more than half an hour. That's plenty of time. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Looks like it's equalish. Yeah. If you had to develop the bishop, where do you get a guy? Really, where do you get a bishop if you want to plan doing something with the bishop? What do you do? Where do you get it? Yeah, the mix seems to be fine. Okay, guys, if you can't hear me or something, please do let me know. So I'm not sure where the bishop should go. You can't even push the b because this guy is hanging on c6, so you can't push the b. You got to do something with the bishop, but where? Do you go just this? Just in order to connect the rooks and pretend you develop pieces. Can you do that? And then maybe this? I mean, given the fact that Magnus will take a couple of tempi to get rook a to d, so I think the bishop will be temporarily safe. Bishop d7 and play like this. And because the queens are off and because there is no dark square black bishop, I guess you could also think about pushing f2 to f3 at some point, just to cementing the e4 pawn. I think it's too early to push it down. Just don't push that guy. Or maybe you could, and if there's any rook, f4, but that allows bishop to come over here. Although h3, so there is a lot of if and maybes and perhapses. The chess game is an enormous what if. So you could play bishop d7. You could also play rook f to e8, then rook a to d8, going towards a draw. I guess you could play that. On the other hand, you do bishop d7, then Magnus might be thinking on, well, not the knight on the 4, maybe the knight on the second rank, knight b3, knight c5 if the bishop goes away. So those knights are getting quite annoying, a little bit problematic for black, the two white knights. Knight d2 to b3, knight b3 to c5, and I think it's quite okay in case black would play bishop d7. If you don't play bishop d7, it's a very genuine question. What do you move? If you want to move the bishop, where do you move them? And if you don't want to move the bishop, tell me the rationale behind any other move. Looks like white enjoys a larger array of options, if I phrase things like this. Looks like you could choose from different ideas to play with white. Black, on the other hand, it feels and it looks like they are a bit more limited than white in their options here. You had the bishop d7, or you do something completely non-engaging, like h6 or something, just to say you moved. You could do knight e5. You could do knight e5. Can you? I guess you kind of can. Just to provoke white to push f2, f4 and see if that were to happen. But yeah. So these are the choices. Yeah. So he actually pushed c5. Knight's being hit now. c6 to c5. Knight's being attacked. Now you must move. So this is how we call it in chess. This is a forcing move. You do not have an option but just to move the knight because you lose material. So white is being forced. Now moving the knight is a must. And now you can start thinking if you want to go b3, if you want to go b3, f3 or f5. Now you can think about this one. Actually, it's a moment where you do have to choose carefully your next move, so to speak. In other order, I think Nakamura came to the conclusion that, of course, white has to play. And if there were to be, just saying, if there were to be a knight d to b3, black can respond with b6. Thus, the problem of bishop's development had been solved. Bishop goes b7, following knight b3 and b6. I guess it's just solved. Hello, Modern Tal. Yeah, just watching these two guys now, the old rivals, the eternal rivals. So knight d4, b3, b6, and bishop is kind of happy to go over to b7. I think so. I think that makes sense. And I guess Nakamura can play b6, bishop b7, even if white doesn't move knight b3. I mean, they go f3. Black can still do this. Hey, well, they could do bishop b6, actually, if they want to. That's another idea. As soon as the knight departs to f3, you could think maybe bishop e6, but it's further harassment on g5 if bishop were to go on e6, so yeah. I didn't do nothing. This is the absolute live position. c5 is the last move that Nakamura plays, and this is very, very live. I didn't move nothing. It's Carlsen's turn exactly at this very moment as we speak. No modification on my part. It's just the arrows that were just for me and my friends here. But I didn't move nothing. No moves on my part. Again, I think it's positional. The game is predictable to a point. But it bears enormous consequences now if you choose knight b3, knight f3, knight f5. So the dynamics will change very much following this particular option. Actually, it's quite important where you're getting the knight. If you go knight f5, looks like the most aggressive move. Knight f5 looks to me. If bishop wants to take you, okay, you're going to take back with the pawn, of course. Now bishop... there's quite a lot to take in here. I mean, if you do this kind of stuff and bishop were to capture and you were to take, knight may go here. Attacking your guy, you might push this. It's just a lot to calculate. They might be then undermining furthermore with g6. So I'm not fully convinced about knight f5, so to speak. I'm not convinced about knight f5. Maybe knight f3. Maybe knight f3. It's one of those moments. It's one of those moments. Yeah. So what I do appreciate about this classical chess is that you can't say now if one of them, anyone who loses, who wins, you can't say they didn't have time to actually think properly about the moves they going to play. So this is a well fought game. thought in terms of thinking, and fought instead of in terms of fighting. So this is a well thought game, uh, if you will allow the pun. Here, thinking and fighting are similar, so to speak, on a conceptual level, of course. Well, if that tea doesn't help, I don't know. Hey, knight f5. I say that actually this is the most aggressive move. Ah, I know what's the plan. Something dawned upon me. Knight f5, bishop takes, pawn takes, and if knight goes here, what do you think Magnus plays? Magnus will not defend on g4. No, 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 no. He's gonna push f6. I'm telling you now, I just had the revelation. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight h4. He is not going to play g4, my friends. He's not going to do this. He is going to push the pawn, sort of like disrupting black. You either take or not. You either take or not. It's up to you. He's not gonna defend the pawn. He's gonna push it on f6. So if black takes, actually black's gonna have two double pawns on the f and isolated pawn on h. That's what he's gonna do. That's the plan. That is the plan. Of course, knight f3, knight b3 could have been used, but I think this one is the most aggressive, as we said. Of course, is the most aggressive choice. And I guess this is the plan indeed. The future will confirm, whatever the future is. The future will confirm. Being present. So bishop takes, pawn takes, knight h4, f6. That's the plan. Very sound to me. Very sound. And when this thing happened, let's just take it a couple of steps further. I think I'm liking this. So bishop takes, pawn takes, knight plays, this pawn goes forward. If they take, they might not take though. But if they take, you're going to be going with tempo over to the 7th file. And that is nice. Really nice. Really, really, really nice. I'm telling you, that's the idea. That is the, the broad idea. If bishop takes, pawn takes. That's not, I mean, of course, I can't promise now that there will be bishop takes f5, but if it were to happen, that is the plan. That is the plan, I'm telling you. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight plays, push, take, not take, bishop, rook to e7. They might play, though, rook f to e8, to not allowing you to having access to the 7th rank. That might be very well. So bishop takes, pawn takes, knight plays, f pushes. They won't take, but they will be playing this. If you take, king takes. Again, there is no dark squares bishops, and there is no queen on the board. Therefore, you can afford this crazy luxury with, there is no diagonal checks happening via the dark squares. So, yeah, that is the idea. That's the idea. I'm sure we're gonna see one of these. I don't know if Hikaru gonna take though. He might just play bishop e6. Do you know that? He might just play bishop e6. Because in the light of what I said, looks like white would be practically quite happy to push the f5 to f6. And black might just very simply play bishop e6. Which bishop to e6 will stopping your white knight to go c4 or something. So yeah, it's a good positioning for the bishop. It's a sort of good positioning. Then getting some rooks over to the d file and things. So bishop e6, rook a d1, rook a d8. The game just simply, playable, continues and stuff. f3. And yeah, we can debate very, very much here. We can debate long and hard about the things that could happen. I think that makes sense. Everything I said, I think, makes sense. And I'm pretty sure they thought about that one as well. And definitely they thought even more than I just verbalized. Totally. Totally. Shall we move, ladies and gents? Shall we move towards the Alireza Fabi? I haven't looked at all here. Not at all. Not at all. I haven't got a clue what these guys have cooked here. What was the last move then? Knight F1. Yeah, well, Knight F1, I guess, had been played by Alireza to allow Queen grabbing this pawn, for sure. Absolutely. You want to take the guy. You want to take that pawn with the Queen. Interesting position. What on earth did they play? London system. Ooh. Bishop b4, d5, e3, c5. Knight f3, knight c6, knight b2, bishop g4, c3, of course. e6, queen b3, queen c8. Aha. h3, bishop h5. Very interesting. That's quite instructive for the London system players. Okay, white queen wants to grab the black pawn on d3. Of course. Of course. There's further disruption here in case you want to do castle short. In case you want to do castle short after queen d3, there is also h6 that might happen. Of course, there's another idea. And many others' idea. But anyway, this is Fabistan. I'm not sure black should castle short here, I'm telling you. I don't think black should castle here, given the fact there is a pawn on the h file that might be just, moving and attacking and stuff. I'm not sure it is wise to castle short. Probably it's not. Probably it's not. You may want to move the queen with the black. You may want to move the queen. I'm not sure if b6. I'm not sure if e7, maintaining the battery with your bishop. I'm not sure if d7. The white knight on f1 will be relaunched, of course. They're going to be relaunching. Maybe after queen takes, knight goes bd2, then b3, then c5. I mean, there's many options here. Maybe knight g3, pushing h6. Nevertheless, the pawn on d3 must be captured. So that's something that white will do. After black moves, that is for sure. And let's go to Ding now. Ding and Prague. Ding and Prague. Well, they both castle the kings. I'm looking at the king's safety now. They're both nice and safe for the time being. b3 being played by Ding, probably as a sort of stopper for the black pawn. And also could be a potential supportive pawn for a knight to d4. He just moved. Prague just played now. Knight c6. That's normal stuff to do, of course. We could see knight d4. We could see bishop a3. If you do bishop a3, rook's going to play here 100%. The rook's going to go f8 e8. And then you're going to have to figure out some other game because bishop g4 is going to happen. So there are ideas. There are. It's some double attack on the pawn on d4, right? The bishop attacks and the queen attacks. I guess that pawn has to be taken. 2, 4, 6, 3, 3, 6. Sorry, am I missing something here? Can we just take that guy? It might be a bit exposure for the queen, but can you just take it? And if you take it, do you take it with the queen or do you take it with the bishop? I don't think black's going to trade, though. I don't think black's going to trade. I think they want to move the queen somewhere, and then they want to play some rook attacking you or some bishop e6. So you could take the pawn back. Sorry, not back. You could just take the pawn. You're not taking it back. It's 6-6. And if you take now, we're going to be 6-5. So you could take that pawn and, queen c7, queen f6, you name it. And the plan would be just getting either bishop e6 or some rook over to the to D file to attack the queen. I think you should take the pawn and then just drop, I don't know, queen f3 or something, and just develop yourself. If they don't take your queen, then just develop bishop a3 and things. You could also, my friends, you could also think, give it some minutes to bishop takes d5. But then if you play c4, now you don't have to play c4, you could just play e4, I guess. That's another idea. And look at how time consuming all this all these alternatives. Look how time consuming, and the way I'm verbalizing, it's probably similar with these players. They might not use words, but they definitely conceptualize like we do, my friends. And it is time consuming. And of course, the psychological charge in their case is way, way, way bigger than in our case as non-implicated, non-involved spectators, so to speak, unless you bet money on this or you're really rooting for someone and you're identifying with their success. You're pretty much untouched by the emotions, more like aesthetical enjoyment of the concepts. Okay. Shall we okay, let's go to this. Hey, hey, hey. Bloody hell, I said bishop e6. Well, last time I visited this position, I said that black will not take on f5 due to the stuff that we highlighted here. So I did say just bishop e6, and that's just exactly what it did. So I'm definitely not further away from the truth they think about. I'm definitely not far away. I did say bishop e6. If it wouldn't be good, bishop takes, pawn takes, even knight plays. Again, f6, and then some rook on the 7th rank. I absolutely did say that. So bishop e6, exactly. I did say that. That if I were Nakamura, I would just play bishop e6. You can't take that knight for the reasons we've explained. And now again, the game is just continuous. Looks interesting, this and that. That's not to say h6 won't happen to just stop you. So knight f3 for knight g5 harassment could be an idea. Rook ad could be another idea. You name it, I don't know. There's many stuff that may take place. There's many stuff, really many. Knight b3 doesn't really work. Knight b3 because it's just b6. I'm not sure black's going to take your knight though, but you never know. It could be some others. It could be some, I don't know. Do you do g3 and h4 here, asking for a friend? Can you do this kind of stuff? If you do g3 and things, you're actually giving up on all the light squares. I don't know. I don't. Complicated. The knight would be happy to do a little bit of dancing here. Knight f4, knight d3. And when I suggested g3, I just had in mind this kind of stuff. g3 to be stopping the black knight playing on f4 and possibly d3. But I'm not sure if g3 it's worth playing, given the fact you're going to lose all the light squares, which are already with a big question mark because black is having a light square bishop. So I don't know what Magnus should play here. Well, if I'm looking for a couple more minutes, I may be coming with some ideas. Yeah, difficult. Knight f3 is really attractive to me. Knight f3, I like it. Even if they play h6, I still do knight f3. I like knight f3 very much. Rook a d1, I like it. But what's worth analyzing here is a move like g3 that definitely worth looking into it. g3 to stopping the knight, and g3, maybe g3, h4, keep harassing that guy. But they could go also on e5 though, so mind you. So really, that's a lot to calculate here. It's not that tactical, but it's a lot of calculations to be done. It's quite a lot. Quite a lot. Ivan. Oh boy, don't tell me they didn't move nothing. Oh man, they didn't move nothing. I mean, Fabi didn't move nothing. Fabi didn't move. Black. As we said, castle short here, it's not that great. Due to the H pawn. So I guess you gotta move the queen. Queen b6. Let me highlight. Queen e7, queen. There you go. There you go. There you go. Queen e7. I did say it. Queen e7. You maintain the battery with your bishop. And, surprise, surprise, you could do castle long. You got no problem with the bishop just yet because the king doesn't go through check, or it's not stopped by any check. So you could potentially, but it's delicate. It's really delicate. He postponed any castling. The question is, can he play uncastled? Well, for the time being, he should be playing uncastled, I guess. I'm not sure about castling prospects for black because of this guy. So you probably don't want to. You probably don't want to. Now, because it's Ali Reza's, if Ali Reza wants to save his very precious minutes and seconds, he should just take on d3 and let Fabi boil again in the ocean of uncertainty upon what to play next. So queen takes d3 and let Fabi think further on. You just took a pawn, and let's see what black has in mind. You take the pawn, you may go even here. I think it's good. I think it's good. Everything's good. It's fine. Yeah, I think I would take on d3. I'll take on d3 and take it from there. Definitely. Definitely. Take on d3 and let's see what happens. There you go. Boom. Took on d3. There you go. And now, ladies and gents, yeah, rook 8 to d8. Placing the rook. Oopsie. Placing the rook where the queen is. Things are going to get open. I'm not sure how exactly are they going to get open, but they are. Okay. What do you do? Well, I don't know. Just yet. Or it takes too long to play this. Knight a2, knight b3, knight c5. I'm not sure. Maybe it takes too long after all. Knight g3, where do you go? Or maybe just time to push this guy. That comes, well, not just yet. There's a funny thing here. Now, I understand about black not castling, but also you got to be careful about pushing that pawn. Because even if they take, your own king is actually on the g file. So you got to be very careful about this. So, anything but an easy position for both players here. The white king, I think, would like to go to h or something. Actually allowing the rooks to be on the g file. So, oopsie. Maybe you want to make this bishop disappear. Well, I don't know what disappear means, but bishop g3. If bishop takes, you take with the knight, but that's not to say they want to take, though. They may not take. They may go f6. Bishop g3. If they take, you're going to take with a knight, and I think it's kind of cool. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. I'm not. e4? e4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Okay. Maybe e4 after all. That's another candidate move. e4, that's another candidate move. It could be, could be. What about this one? Oh man, don't tell me they didn't move nothing. Ding's turn. Hold on a sec. Oh man, Ding's turn. He didn't move nothing. He didn't move nothing. What's his time? 1 hour 22. Okay, okay, okay. That's good. He's still within the graphics. Okay. Okay. I think that central pawn could and should be taken. And you're 1 pawn up, and then if you're given a chance for bishop a3 and things, I think that's great. I think that's great. Bishop a3. Bishop a3, which I highlight like 15 minutes ago. I highlighted bishop a3 long time ago. But probably he wanted to make sure he covered everything about it. So he played bishop a3, which can't be a bad thing. Getting the bishop, cutting through the dark squares, it can't be a bad thing. Now rook's gotta go. That's a must. I don't think you could play with this thing. You gotta move rook. Rook fe8, very likely. You gotta get that rook out. Rook fe8. You're gonna play rook fe8. And after rook fe8, I don't know, is the pawn gonna be captured on d5, or you're gonna play e3? We can debate on this. Rook f8, e3 looks quite good. Rook f8, e3 is really good. Then some knight over to d4, which is an enormous outpost. Huge outpost. Maybe. But that's very good. That is really good. Good stuff. That's a beautiful bishop. The white bishop on a3 is really good. This is really good bishop. Awesome bishop. Okie dokie. Back to Magnus and Nakamura. Hey, Naka didn't move. Wait a minute. Bishop e6. Knight f3. I did say knight f3. And I advocated a lot for knight f3 when last time I saw the position. As you could see, last time I saw the position, I did highlight with red knight f3 as being my favorite. And he did do knight f3. And I said rook a d8. And now I don't think we need a PhD to say rook a d1. Rook a d1, you need to try to make opposition when your opponent gets the rooks on open files. You got to get your rooks to counteract that rook. So rook a d1 is, I think, quite interesting idea. But we have to think about something else. Pardon me, guys. Rook a d. We got to look at bishop takes. And the question would be, should white be playing b3 first and then rook a d? Because if you play rook a d and bishop takes, you can't trap them. You don't have the pawn on c2 to say, I'm going to play b3, I'm going to trap the bishop. You can't. Although there is also a pawn on c5 which can be pushed down anyway. But just saying, maybe b3 required first. Maybe b3 and then, although c4 might just very well happen. g3, I said about that one as well. And let me remind to everybody else, g3 is meant in particular to stopping any knight attempt for f4. That's exactly what's meant about g3. First and foremost, primarily aims to stopping knight f4. And yeah, okay, you could get king g2 if necessary, whenever that would be required. King g2. So for the time being, g3 stops the black knight. to coming on f4 and allows white bishop to go g2 if really, really necessary. Totally. Ali Reza and Fabi. Rook ADA. What was the last move that happened here? Rook G1. Yeah, Rook G1 because... Oh, I said that too. I said that the king should be on H1 and rook should be on the G. And that actually comes to do exactly what we said. Rook to G1 because probably, I would assume, Alreza wants to drop the king on in the corner. Well, you want the rook to actually attack. So that's one more motive, one more reason for black to not castle short. They will not castle short because of this idea. They will definitely not castle short. You can't castle short. Can you? I don't think you can. After king h1 with rook on g1 covering all the g file, I definitely do not think black is going to castle short. That's completely insane. So totally. Hello there, my friend. Welcome, welcome. So, e3, exactly as we said. Let's just go back a bit. So bishop a3, and we did highlight that actually black must play rook out of attack. And we did say as well, I did say e3, which came to be indeed. And black's to play. No. Black's to play at this stage. The question is, if you want to play the bishop on c8, where exactly you're going to develop that bishop? You got some good squares. You got f5 available. You got e6 if you really want to. So bishop e6, bishop f5, I guess they are playable. Bishop e6, I think it's playable. Why not? It is. You could expect a knight to d4 regardless, though. So bishop e6, knight d4 might be very well happening. That's an outpost. The knight on d4, the white knight on d4 can't be attacked by any pawn. Therefore, knight d4, we could say it's an incredibly happy knight there. So, yeah, amongst many other ideas I think I highlighted on the screen, it's Pragston, right? Okay, so bishop e6, knight d4, it's a potential, it's a possible scenario. A very, very likely scenario to happen. The imperative is just getting the pieces out. You have to develop your pieces as actively as possible, of course, but if you're limited, you just play within the limits of the position anyway. And that's how I see it, guys. If you see differently, please tell me if you think that things should be different. So, what have we... So, g3, exactly as we said, there is no knight coming over to f4. Rook to e8. Rook to e8 wants to say, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy of yours. Medium, long term, my rook could be targeting the e4. If that were to be. And the question is again for Magnus, how exactly are you going to use your rook in a corner, that is the a1, because if you leave to the d1 square, the bishop might just very well take. And it's not a trap bishop, actually you're getting in big trouble if you allow that to happen, because rook d1 after rook, bishop takes on a2, they might be playing bishop b3, and I think you're kind of like losing now. Hello David, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Just covering the eternal rivalry here. Magnus Nakamura, the eternal rivals. Yeah. Let's see how these guys are playing. So, that's actually a good puzzle here. How exactly is white going to use the rook in a corner? Actually, this is the homework for me and probably for you guys. How are you going to use the rook on a1? Are you going to do b3 first, right? Because that's what I'm thinking about. B4, and if black pushes c4, you're not going to take. You're not going to take. You're going to push again. Magnus does not address the rook issue. He moves the king up. Don't tell me Magnus is planning h4, h5, because that might be an idea as well. As long as the knight on f3 covers the rook's incursion on d2, as long as that knight stays there, maybe Magnus wants to play h4, h5, putting the question to the black knight, where you're going to get that guy? Maybe. Maybe. You know, that's another idea within another idea within another idea. It could be h4, h5. So again, I think it's worth noting that before you actually engage the rook on a1 somewhere, you've got to sort out the a2 weakness. You got to sort out that weakness. So I genuinely wonder if maybe b3 first, then. But then again, maybe Magnus wants to push h pawn, and he'll take it from there. He'll take it from there, perhaps. Perhaps. There are many ifs and buts and stuff and things. Okay. Okay. Alireza Fabi. Well, rook hg. Nothing had happened just yet. Rook hg, announcing king h1. So my 2 cents would be king goes in a corner. Seems to be. Or maybe not. If not in the corner, maybe just king h2 though. Why in the corner if you can go h2? Unless you want to use h2 for the knight, which is not clear. It's just not clear. But definitely king wants to move on the h file. The white king will be moved on the h file to make space for the rook. Totally. Totally they're going to be. Absolutely. I'm very, very confident of this. What did the boys move here? So e3, of course, and nothing played by Prague just yet. Prague also a type of player that he really takes his time when he gotta choose something important, like this moment now. He really does take his time. And anyway, they do have the time. I can read on a screen now. Prague is on 1 hour, 18 minutes. Okay. That cool stuff. Fabi didn't move. And this is Magnus. This is Magnus versus Hikaru. Oh boy, Hikaru actually thinks after king g2. He's probably thinking that this crazy Magnus is going to play h4, h5, so what do I do? He's actually thinking about what to do about that pawn advancement. Can you make any other form of progress here? I mean, you can always play knight to e7, I guess. You know, you can play knight e7. I guess you can. Okay. What would you play here with black? David, if you had the black pieces here, what would you play if you were Nakamura? And Care Mail, what would you play, my friend, if you were having the black pieces here as Nakamura? What would you guys do? That's it's still a lot of complexity here. It's not that smooth. It's not that obvious. And every single move, again, has big consequences for the future development of the game. It's not an easy position. Still a lot of calculations to do. It's not to say, I mean, they're not crazy tactics, but it's more like strategy now. Looks like a very, very strategical position you have to plan for long term. Whatever you play, it impacts the long term. It's no tactics like I'm going to play this and that and win a pawn. There is no such thing. Or I'm going to play this and that and I'm going to checkmate. Or so there's no tactics in terms of this. So that's just a long-term strategy here. Yeah. Knight e7 could be playable. b5 for black. I mean, you play b5 to just say you moved something, right? But it could be b5, b4. Nah, this is just a bit. It's so slow. It's so slow, and I don't see clearly what exactly the benefit of that would be. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm really not. And 97 maybe. For black, that is. Because it's black's turn to play. 97 perhaps. 97, and you're asking Magnus, what do? You go, okay, f6 to allow king to f7. Okay. Now that's very understandable. And f6 for another reason. F6 for not allowing knight g5. So now I'm seeing post factum, that is, but it's just getting a bit clearer. F6 with a sort of a multi-purpose, as pretty much most of the moves are. F6 to allow king f7, and f6 also to be stopping any knight g5 coming. Or knight e5 for that matter, if the black knight were not to be there. So if knight were to move wherever they want to move the knight, you can't go with the knight closer because f6 had been played. And because there is no queen and there is no light square bishop, you won't be getting any problem with that diagonal in particular. Normally when people say at chess, don't push the f-pawn, when, strong players and coaches and courses, and they tell you, don't move the f, don't move the f, don't move the f, it's based on the idea that you will probably getting attacked on that diagonal. But now because there is no bishop and there is no queen, there is no danger for black being attacked along that diagonal. So that is why now f6 can be played. I'm just explaining for all of our friends that might need to get more understanding why it is said traditionally do not touch the f-pawn. It's because of that. But in this particular exceptional situation, no queen, no light square bishop, therefore no check. Therefore, f can be pushed. King goes to f7, and again, you're stifling any knight approach g5 or e5. Yeah, David, that is correct. I don't think there is anything hugely weak for neither white nor black. I can't see anything popping up like a massive weakness to be exploited, or no, there's nothing as such. No. To my understanding, looks a little bit drawish. To my understanding, a little bit drawish here. I don't really see big weaknesses anywhere. It might be a draw, it might be another Armageddon, in which if black draws, they win. Yeah. So, I think we can go to other games now, because after f6 being played, I'm not sure if Magnus is going to push. Let me just leave on a screen the candidate moves, and then when we come back, we're going to check if they actually came to happen. I think h4 can still be played. I think b3 can still be played. Stops the bishop and allows rook ad and things. So these two moves are my candidate moves for white in the current position. h4, b3. If you guys think differently, let me know. I guess h4 is something to be played, and b3. I don't know which one Magnus will go for. Maybe he got a completely different idea, plan to play. So that's what I think. And I don't see anything else. I mean, if you move rook in a corner, I mean, I don't know what's that. No, you can't do this. Yeah, so either h4, b3. What are the candidate moves? a4, I mean, you just take them one by one. a4, why? I don't see any meaning. It's horrible because bishop comes to b3. You can't play a4. So b3, h4. Let's move to the other one. All right, what did happen here? Black played f5. Okay, f5. Can I say now king h2? I like king h2 so much. I really do. Okay, amongst others, f5 wants to say when you play king to h2 or king to h1, your rook can't really take on g7 because there is my black queen over there defending g7. Therefore, f5 defends g7. So, f5. of course. You can still do king h2. You know, just keep the g file under pressure. You know, play the king to h2. Rook is there. Keep pressurizing the g file. You never know. Maybe this will happen after king h2. Hello, MED student. So king h2, it's one of those things I think you should be thinking to playing with white here. It's never a bad idea having your rook on an open or semi-open file. Never. So you create the threat. You bring the whole potential of the attack. Leave it there. You know, king h2. If that's, I mean, it's probably the safest square for the white king to be. No, not just yet. I need to play in more tournaments over the board. No, not yet. But you can find my archives online on both Lichess and chess.com. Now I'm on chess.com, right? Yes. And lately I started to play a little bit on chess base. On playchess.com I started to play. But not as many games as chess.com or Lichess. So, right. So king h2, yeah, king h2 required for white. But maybe Alireza got another plan. Maybe he wants to do something else. I don't know. You would like to keep the bishop here. You don't want to play that. That's a disaster. You absolutely don't want to play that. This bishop is way too active, way too dangerous to trade it for this guy. This is just completely unthinkable. This is unthinkable. So king h2 would be something. Unless you want to play king h1, retaining, including for the white knight, something to do with the h2, but I really don't know what, because this guy had been taken. g4 square had been taken. So I think I could go king h2. And in some whatever future is, knight d2, knight b3, knight c5, although it takes like a billion years. But maybe in the future, I'm talking about knight d2, with the potential of pushing e3 to e4, maybe another idea as well. So let me just highlight them on a screen here. So king h2 to revealing the rook's diagonal, knight bd2 with the potential to pushing e3 to e4 at some point, and I think it's good. I think it's good. Probably black's going to play rook g8. Probably they're going to play rook g8. And the question is actually Fabi going to play king d7 and king c8? Well, you can't go to b8, right? Because there's this guy here. I don't know how you're going to get rid of the bishop, though. But just saying. Where do you move the black king? If you want to move the black king away from the fight, where do you get them to? Can you go here? I guess you kind of... I'm really not sure. Perhaps here. I'm really not sure where you want to move that king. Probably he's not going to move the king for the time being. Anyway, it's Alireza's turn. I guess he got to move king h2. Just leave it there. Yeah, king h2 and just play like this. So. Not bishop e6, no nothing, but queen f6. Well, primarily we could see queen f6 attack c3. That is for sure. And now... you're not going to give that pawn, do you? So knight d4 springs to mind. I think knight d4 is the perfect opportunity now to playing that knight. You defend c3. Naturally, you defend c3. I don't think, again, queen taken on d5, I don't think so because of the bishop e6. And you're going to expose your queen a great deal. It's definitely worth analyzing bishop takes d5. It's worth analyzing bishop takes d5. Actually, I think amongst the 3 games that we're looking at, my friends, I think bishop takes d5. This game is actually the most tactical and the sharpest. This one. Because I think there is some hidden tactics here. I think there is most definitely there is some hidden tactics. I think there is some lines with bishop takes d5. Look, if you want to be on the super safer side, just play knight d4, forget about it all. You just play knight d4 and that's it, you know? It's good. I don't think it's bad knight d4. I genuinely don't think knight d4 is bad. It's actually great. It's really great. It's really good stuff to do. On the other hand, if there is any opportunity for you to grab material and increase the attack and the sharpness, maybe bishop takes d5 would be the deal. Bishop takes d5 would place your bishop on a sort of the, pin from the rook and stuff. Yeah, there is always c4, but that comes with a caveat. I guess you can. I guess. So that definitely worth analyzing. This one is the most complicated game. This one in particular, I find it. Not Magnus-Hikaru, which seems to be drawish, going towards draw. Magnus-Hikaru. But this one seems to be the most complicated. This one. Particularly because of the d5 black pawn, which I'm not sure if you should take it with white or not. I'm not. So now Ding needs to think long and hard here and take a very tough decision. You need to sit down and calculate that bishop d5 is playable. And not just playable, if bishop d5 is playable successfully, not just to, you really need to sit down and calculate this one. It looks like bishop d5 is very much playable. It looks. Bishop d5 now. If queen takes here, that's another. They got to be very careful. I think we could just attack it. I'm not sure black's going to take, though. I'm not sure black's going to take on c3, but just saying. Bishop d5, queen takes c3, rook a c1. Queen has got to go. Where? And then bishop b2. I'm not sure. Actually, I think it's quite beneficial for white to having black queen taken on c3. Really. I think it's beneficial for white if black were to take on c3. Given this and this as a response, I think it's quite strong. The question for Ding is, do you take on d5 or do you play knight d4? These are, I think, the main ideas. If you play knight d4, black simply does bishop e6. So you can't take the pawn anymore. You could take the bishop, but then they're going to be taking back. Probably with the pawn having an increased attack on the f-file. Together with the bishop on b6. Long term, that is. I'm talking about medium long term. So if you don't take the pawn now, you're not going to take it. You're not just going to grab it. You either take it now or you don't take it. So I'm going to highlight here bishop takes d5 as a potential candidate move and knight d4 as another candidate move for white to play here. I like them both. I really do. Knight d4 would be for the guys that don't want to spend 10 minutes thinking. So the option knight d4 is for those chess players that, let's just play knight d4. Bloody hell, let them think. I don't want to think anymore. Just knight d4 and that's it. It's good. It's safe. You don't blunder. You don't blunder nothing. It's a good one. It's really good, knight d4. There's nothing bad on that one. Bishop d5 is for those guys that want to go really sharp. Now, bishop d5, and they might play. There is a... Oh boy, let me just show you something. Bishop d5, do you know what black does next? They do this. Bishop h3 attacking your rook. Then I suppose you got to drop back ASAP. They could. They could. I don't like it. Then rook a d8. So I'm going to tell you my final conclusion. I guess knight d4 has to be played. Because that invites black to play with tempi a couple of moves here, and I don't like it. Namely, bishop h3, rook a d8, and the queen is on the unhappy d file where they should not be. The queen should be on c2, I guess. I don't even know where's the... Maybe a4 would be the place for the queen, really, because rook can go either to c or d. Yeah, knight d4 after all. I'm sorry, knight d4. I'm sorry to being a disappointment yet again, but knight d4 seems to be the move. Knight d4 and you just keep playing. It's nice, it's cool, there's not a problem. Knight d4. Knight d4. Yeah, that's my final... That would be my final assessment here currently in this position, and I think it's okay. Knight d4, it's fine. maybe if you take it deeper and calculate more, bishop d5, bishop h3, bishop g2, rook ad, queen c2. I don't know. You happy with that? Mm. Oh boy, this Magnus guy, rook e3, rook e3. Are you serious? Rook e3, rook e3 played by Magnus now. Not h4, not b3, but rook e3. Why rook e3? For Christ's sake, why is rook e3? Does he want to double on the e file? The rooks? What does he want to do? Does he want to push b3 and doesn't want to have c3 attackable by the black rook that comes down here? Why did he play rook e3? I need to understand this. So he played rook e3 right now, not b3, not pawn h4. I don't know. I don't know why he did it. I just do not know. I do not know. Rook e3. Can someone tell me, guys, what do you think about rook e3? I mean, honestly, what on earth is this move doing? I mean, apart from some rook ae, heck, I don't know. He wants to push the e pawn or something. Does he want to play? I mean, what's the deal? I don't know. If someone could enlighten about rook e3 ideas, like in human terms, not a long streak. I mean, we could just put the engine and stuff, but I don't want to. I want to get the human understanding with the rook e3, rook e1 to e3. What's the rationale behind it? Not this, not that, but rook e3. I don't know. I think you just want to bamboozle Hikaru. I think he just played something, having Hikaru now wondering the hell does he want to do with rook e1 to e3. What's the improvement? What is the plus that rook e3 brings to the current position here? What's the stuff behind rook e1 e3? What is happening on the third rank? Is there something supposed to happen on the third rank in particular? Okay, I'm gonna find out, but that's just not clear. I absolutely do not know. I think you just want to bamboozle poor Hikaru. Rook e3. You can't be serious. Okay, look, I don't know what's rook e3 doing. It doesn't make any sense. But maybe it does for him. So it's not like a... Oh, it's right there, mate. It's right there. It's right above your... It's right above the text you sent. It's right there on the screen. Right above your last message. So that's the link to the email sent by the Nightbot. It's exactly right there. You should be able to see it. Oh, knight h8? Really? Knight h8. Okay, these guys want to shock each other with those moves that heck knows what they have in mind. I mean, a rook e3. Heck, if I know the bloody hell you wanted to do. Knight h8, like what? Like knight f7 to do like what? Knight d6. Come on, boys. Come on, man. Would you care to tell David? What's that? Okay, rook e3. It's something that heck knows what that is. But also, I gotta say, Nakamura's last move. I think I understand at least something. I know this one makes sense to me. I mean, makes sense. I think I'm able to decipher why he did do it. Knight h8. David wants to push the g6. If that's not it, I don't know what is. That's what is. So knight h8 for g6. That's why Hikaru played it, knight h8. It's got to be this. So I think, I'm not even sure. Because after the check, you're actually in a weird position. No, you're not. You're dropping the whole damn knight. That's the thing. He wants to push. You can't go here because king attacks. And you just lost your knight. He wants to push g6, and that sends your knight in this array. Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, whoa. No, that's a mouse slip. That's a mouse slip. Disregarded. Yeah, that's it. Knight h8 wants to play g6. I'm telling you now, that's the plan. There's no other plan. Well, there are some other ideas down the road, of course, but primarily, knight h8 make space on the g file for the g pawn to being pushed forwards and attack the white knight. Now the white knight, you got to think about where you're getting that knight. That's exactly what it is. Because the last move Magnus played was a complete, looks to me like a little bit of a waste of a tempo. I'm not sure what that rook will achieve. I'll watch the game. And I really want to know, in the grander scheme, in a bigger scheme of things, if rook e3 will bear any positive effect outcome for white here. I'm incredibly curious if rook e3 will mean anything for white. But definitely knight h8 means g6 right on the next turn. So you better make sure you're having space for our knight to go to safety. Now Magnus has something to think about. Now that's something to think about. Hell, I wouldn't have thought about knight h8. This is a very insidious little move, knight h8. You would say means nothing. You would say probably means nothing, but it means so much. If you get the knight on the rim, it's going to stay there forever. You're going to play with an incredibly marginalized, ostracized knight. So you got to be very careful about not knight h4, which would be kind of safe, but your knight is horribly positioned. And you can't do with the other guy's space for them to come into the game because there is a rook already claiming the d file. And because Magnus moved rook e1 to e3, he can't even counteract these guys. I really don't know what to say. It seems to step by step increasing the positional advantage for black gradually. H3 being played by Magnus just now. So if g6, I guess the only move is knight h4. Sorry, that's the only move you got. You can't go knight h6 because king g7 and you... Ah! Oh, Christ's sake, I got it. I know why. Do you want to know why, David? I'll tell you right now. g6. I'm not going to go h4. I'm going to go knight h6, king g7, and knight to g4. That is Magnus's plan. If bishop takes, I'm going to take. If bishop takes, I'm going to take with the h file, and then I'm going to go rook to the h. That is the plan. That is why Magnus played h3 now. I understand why he did play h3. This is the explanation for h3. This is the real... Yeah, that's why Magnus played h3. h3, g6, knight h6, king g7, knight g4, bishop takes g4, h takes g4. That's what he wants to play. In case there is g6. If there is not g6, we'll take it from there. We can start again the great debate. But that is the short-term plan to g6. In case it wasn't obvious, that is the reason, guys. For sure. For sure, that's the reason. It's clear now. Hey, g6 being played. Now, Magnus, it's time to prove that actually that was the whole deal. No. He played knight h4, so what was the thing with h3 after all? He wanted to mess up with Hikaru's plan. Okay, what the hell were you going to do with the knight on h4? Tell me. Okay. So what was the plan with h3? Okay, whatever. He messed up with Hikaru again. Knight h4. Okay, what are you going to do with those knights? What are you going to do with the knight on h4? And like, where exactly are you going to get him to do something? Very weird, man. This is weird. This is really weird. You can't play g5 with black now, because if you do g5, knight's gonna go back. Well, you can, of course you can. Of course you can. You can always play g5, but I'm not sure it's good for black. I guess you're gonna play king g7, knight f7. And let Magnus decide how exactly he wants to maneuver those knights. It's not clear. It's not clear. It's absolutely not clear. And it's a lot of calculation needed to be done here to push any pawns, to do anything. So knight h4. Again, for black, I guess king g7, knight f7, you still need to get the knight in action back. And I'm not keen on pushing g6 to g5. So knight f7, king g7. Yeah, that's my candidate moves there. And let's go back to our boys. Yeah, I did say king h2 very many times in the past. Indeed, I did say king h2. There you go, king h2 being played. And Fabi's turn. Yeah, we did say that. I did say that. But boy, I'm looking at the clock and I'm seeing now that Fabi's like on 46 minutes, while Stalireza's like 1 hour 23. Oh my days. What is well, there's a lot for Fabi to calculate here, I'm telling you that, because this is quite dangerous. This is dangerous. And again, there is knight f1 to d2 with the potential to pushing e4. That's another idea. Yeah, knight wants to go to d2 because you want to having your white rooks connected. Your white rooks must be connected. You can even do more. So after, say, knight fd, of course, e4 is always a plan. You may very well play rook to g2 and rook a1 to g1. That is really strong. Queen goes for the pawn now, mind you, guys. He fought very long, Fabi, and Fabi decided queen f7, going for this guy. Now we're getting into business. Bloody hell, just push the pawn now, I guess. Or you play knight g3. Knight g3, you get rid of this guy, because they sort of have to take, right? Knight g3. Bishop takes, yeah, rook takes, queen takes, but as this guy is falling, knight g3. Now you can play knight g3. You could play knight g3 for sure. Or maybe you got a different plan. Maybe knight fd2 and let him take. I'm not sure. Or maybe you play this. Attacking. That's forcing. Hey, I like that one too. Let's keep it nice and simple. What is wrong with bishop g5 though? Let's keep it nice and simple. Nice and simple. Of course, there are very many ideas like knight f2 or rook g2. Yeah, we're gonna go to Magnus. We've been to Magnus like until now. Yeah, we're gonna go back. But now let me look at bishop g5, attacking rook and bishop. That's a forcing move. Bishop takes, rook takes. And if there's any h6, you're going to go rook g6. You're going to stay there for a while. And that looks good. This guy's here, though. Knight h. I did say knight f7 last time I visited. And Magnus now pushes g4. That's a discouragement from any f5 that might happen. It's a little bit of a discouragement because white controls it 3 times. He controls it 3 times. So black's not going to push. But black might do something else here. Amongst others, you may want to get a king a bit up, right? Amongst others. That's one. How do you maneuver your guys here? Do you want to do this kind of stuff? I'm not sure. Because then white's going to take, pawn's going to take, knight's going to play, and you're going to attack that guy, which can be defended with h6, mind you. You could. There's a relatively, I mean, looking like simple, but not that simple after all. Nothing simple in chess, by the way, as you very much are aware, my friends. I'm sure. So now black could do either king g7, moving the king closer to action. Maybe this one can be also played, but that would be a little bit of a like helping white, because the knight on h4 is pretty much isolated now. It doesn't do nothing. Knight on h4 doesn't do nothing. Well, doesn't do nothing. I mean, it's on the margin. You don't want your guys, you don't want your knights to be in too much periphery, at the periphery of the game. But so maybe knight g5 is a way to helping white here. And you don't want to help your opponent, that is, with their pieces development. So maybe knight g5 helps white. So after all, yeah, he went for bishop to d7. Does he want to play knight e5? For sure as hell. He probably want to go this way. And maybe this way. Oops. That's a plan. That is a plan. Bishop d7. And there is another plan. There's bishop c6. There's another plan here. Beautiful. Beautiful from Hikaru. Bishop d7. With very many purposes. Now, we might not even be aware currently. So bishop d7 means very many things. Amongst others, I've just highlighted them on the screen here, my friends. Is knight e5. One. But probably, and maybe even more, bishop c6. Because bishop c6 attacks c4 twice with the bishop and with the rook on e8. This is serious. Bishop c6 is actually quite serious. Because bishop c6 aligns himself with the white king on g2. Of course, hitting e4, pinning the knight on f3, it's quite a nightmare of a position for that black bishop in particular. By the looks of it, Angeles, by the looks of it, yeah, looks of it. Bishop c6, actually I would be a little bit concerned about bishop c6. I would be a bit concerned. Bishop c6 is something. It really is. It really is something, bishop c6. Gotta be careful. I really do like it. Bishop c6, bishop c6. How do you... Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Now because the bishop left the e6, which was attacking a2, you could actually get to rook a to e. But you're still on that diagonal. Regardless, it don't matter. You're still on the bishop c6 thing. Can you stop it? Well, you can't stop bishop c6, that's for sure. You can start trading. Should you start trading rooks? Rook ad, bishop c6. No, rook a1. I did say it. I absolutely did bloody say it. I say rook a1 because that's the opportunity for you actually to move the isolated rook, not the isolated, the uncontributing, the unparticipating rook from a1 over to e. I did say that, but that does not stop bishop e6, which probably should be played. Bishop c6 is actually the move black has to play. There might be some pawn, but that's really a little bit worrying for white here. It's something. We're going to see bishop c6 sooner or later. That's probably going to happen. I mean, look, if you had to put that bishop somewhere, where would you put it? Really, where would you put it? Yes, David, I agree. I think the message was with a little bit of lagging due to either YouTube settings or some weird stream settings, which I'm completely unaware of. Yeah, but I read your message loud and clear, rook to e1, and I totally agree. I concur. That's exactly the place and the moment to getting the rook. Bishop c6, the biggest of the candidate moves ever, and we'll take it from there. We'll see, but very likely, absolutely very likely bishop c6. If you don't do that, I really don't know what. I mean, you can mess about those pawns on H and, sorry, on G and F, but I think those guys should stay where they are. Let me just highlight how important it is to keep the F6 where they currently are. This guy is incredibly important. So I'm going to show this one because I think it's the best move. F6 is incredibly important because cuts off the white knight on F3. So you won't be able to move in your guy. The knight on F3, that is. And the knight on h4, I did say a couple of moves ago, that is incredibly awkward. Knight on h4, I don't know where it can go. It doesn't have any bloody square. And after king g7, I think black is doing a little bit better here. Oh, it totally does a little bit better. You're going to have to move king g3, you know that, guys? You're going to have to push king g3. Having white here, king g3 to go away from that diagonal with the bishop on c6. Yeah, king wants to go to g3 to move away from the diagonal. Definitely. Absolutely. It's the perfect place. c6, it's absolutely the perfect place. Okay, let's play a little game. I'm going to imagine a little bit of evaluation here, and then I'm going to be asking the engine. Then I'm going to ask the engine. I'm going to say that black might be having a minus 0.30. Minus 0.20, minus 0.30. Black here now. And I'm going to toggle on the evaluation bar gauge and let's see if that is closer to truth or not. I mean, I don't know what the engine would think, but let's find out. The bloody engine gives double more of my initial evaluation. The engine goes and says it's minus 0.65 for black. My evaluation without the engine was minus 0.20, minus 0.30. The engine says it's even more, minus 0.65. And the reason for this, the rationale for this, guys, as I had said, it's because of what you see on the screen. It's because of bishop c6. So this one being put in human words, in human understanding, it's due to bishop c6. That's exactly why. And all the consequences that stem from it. Like you gotta waste the tempo, moving the king away. The knight on h4 is a long-term suffering knight. Knight on h4. Why the hell did he play knight h4 when he had the chance to actually drop the knight on g4 like 5-6 moves ago? I don't know, but now this knight is gonna stay there. Very bad position knight. Show this position to whoever. There you go. David, there you go, man. Bishop c6. We all said it. We knew it. That was the reason, actually, Naka played bishop to d7 previously. That was exactly the reason why. Now, if you're asking me, it's a matter of urgency to do rook g3. It's a big emergency. You have to play rook king to g3. There you go. And he just played it as soon as I said it's a margin of urgency. He actually did move it immediately. Immediately, exactly. You cannot having king on the g2 anymore. And Hikaru is incredibly optimistic now. You can think of stuff. Might be. Can I speculate knight to d6? The reason would be you are amassing more power on attacking e4, and perhaps, just perhaps, you might have knight c4. No, he goes in a very direct classical bang and boom. Sorry, this here and this here. And you tell me how you're going to defend e4. That's exactly what we are witnessing, guys. I'm telling you now. Hikaru's plan is to make an Alekhine gun on the e file, doubling the rooks, and knight to d6. And you tell me how you're getting the what? The fourth defender. You're currently having two defenders. You may bring about, but when? Well, after rook plays, you need to drop the knight immediately. And if you're lucky, you might be able to push f3, which will sort out the problem. But if the knight comes on c4, you have some other range of issues. Anyway, I guess it makes sense. There are many things that may happen. So two attackers, bishop c6, rook e6, two defenders, rook e3, rook e1. It's Magnus's turn. I don't know what you're playing, though. I really don't know what you're playing here. Do you play rook e1 to e2? That's what I would do. I would do rook e1 to e2. After rook comes on e8, I would play knight d2, and I'll try desperately to push some f3, and then try to play like this. Rook e2 definitely needs to be played. Rook e1, e2. Rook e1 to e2. I guess you can play rook e3 to e2, but I'm not sure anymore. It's too much to navigate through here. Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. b3. Oof, that's an old idea. I said ages ago. b3, but that was meant at that particular point in time to be stopping bishop e6 attacking. Now I guess b3 wants to say, if you play the knight, you're not going to make it on c4. Maybe that's the message, so to speak. Maybe the message would be, I want to play c4 myself. Or maybe he wants to play b4. Heck, I would have played maybe rook e1 to e2, but I might be wrong. Nevertheless, knight to d6 will not be allowed to play on c4 because of the b3. I can tell you that for sure. I can't tell you for sure other things, but I can tell you this. So it doesn't allow knight c4. And Hikaru needs to choose how to continue. It kind of makes sense to get rook d8 to e8, but you know, it makes sense. We might be looking long term at f5. I don't know when, how exactly f5 for black to be played, but okay, let's just take it one by one. We gotta take it step by step. So b3, okay, with the immediate purpose to stopping knight from d6 if you were to make it to c4. Now we could see this, we could see this, and I need to go grab another coffee. Totally. I need another coffee for sure. So what happened here? Hey, I said that one. Knight f to d2. I've said it ages ago. I said it ages ago. I thought bishop g5 is the best reply here for white. But I also said knight f to d2 is another cool move that might take place. There's the potential to pushing e4. There's the potential to playing just, I mean, connecting the white rooks is also important. Yeah, thanks very much for following, my friend, Amelia. Right, so it could be rook g1, g2, rook a1 to g1. That could be very much as well. Yeah, okay. Amelia, if you're into chess, you're welcome. Anything else, I'm not dealing with. So if you're for chess, it's cool. If anything else but chess, no. But I appreciate your presence and following, that's for sure. Right. So rook g2, rook a g1. And that's a battery. By the way, you don't need to worry about queen taking on h5 because g7 is hanging. So you don't need to bother or to be excessively concerned about queen taking on h5. You don't need concern about that one. Actually, Alireza improved the position tremendously. Knight fd2, he really did improve it, connecting the rooks, and I think it's looking increasingly positive here for white. It does indeed. Does indeed. Well, thanks very much for your thoughts, Amelia, if that's your name. Rook g2, rook a. That's really strong stuff. You can't castle with black. Can you play king to d7? I guess you kind of can, but it's not great. It's not great at all. Just look at queen to b5. Just look at queen to b5. I mean, yeah, you could play king to d7 as a matter of urgency. Look, this goes down a pattern. I've seen it so many times. I'm not buying anything you try to sell, like in terms of digital products. Again, if you're into chess, you're welcome. If you deviate from this, forget about it. Amelia. Oh, God. Very, very difficult for Fabi here. I don't want to be Fabi in this position. I don't want to have the black pieces here. King's position is awful. Absolutely awful. Let's go. Let's go to Dingley-Wren and see. Hey, he actually did. He actually did take the pawn. This is so cool. But boy, I got to tell you something. He did calculate a lot. He did spend a lot of time and he decided to play queen takes d5. Kudos to him for doing this. This is really something. Queen d5. He grabbed the pawn. Again, I think the c3 is slightly poisonous. Queen takes c3. Rook ac hits the queen. Where do you get a queen? Because, you know, this... Okay, let me just... That looks like a... Yeah. My God. Right. I'm only doing chess. Please, Amelia, just stop the trolling. Rook AC, and yes, that's so cool. Now, he took with the queen. Previously, if you had taken with the bishop, the pawn, he fought a lot. If you had taken with the bishop, we would have run into bishop h3, attacking your rook. Bishop drops back, rook a d8, attacking queen, getting a little bit weird. Queen to c2, bishop to f5. But with the current choice he did, which I do think it's the super move here, queen takes d5. Ding is a very persistent. The guy is. I mean, I love the last move he played. I really do. I really do like it. Queen to d5 is just brilliant. A brilliant move. He grabbed the pawn. C3 is poisonous. And what's coming next? It's probably rook AD, maybe some queen F3. Hey, he took a pawn. That matters so much. That matters so much. Probably he wants to play queen F3 and started trading things now. He probably spent a lot of time. He wanted to make sure the queen is safe. The queen can retreat to safety if there is any rook attacking or anything. But that's going to be the most tactical, the most beautiful game this evening, my friends. I'm telling you, they're going to be the most tactical, most exciting game in between the 3 games we're currently watching. And could be some surprises with Hikaru, and surprises in terms that Magnus can find himself in a not very awesome position. King to F8, what does that mean? Does he want... I mean, this is very unexpected. King to F7, King to F8 because you want to play King to E7? Why the hell would you play King E7? I mean, I thought that for black is required to double up the rooks on E file. But probably he don't want to play King E7. No, he don't want to play King E7. He just moved the king away. But what would be the greater purpose for this? Maybe he wants to double up here, but that doesn't make any sense. King F8. King F8. King F8. Well, I don't know just yet. I really don't know. King F8. It's like a sort of like expectancy. You're moving the king, not committing to do anything incredibly clear. Incredibly clear would have been, if I may use that adverb, incredibly clear would have been, or much more clearer, would have been rook d8 to e8, quite committal. That would have been clearer. But no, he plays king f8. Okay. That means the onus is on Magnus to move something. Something like what? Rook e1 to e2 would be a choice. c4 would be a choice. So these are the candidate moves. Currently I'm understanding that white could be playing. Rook e1, e2, c3 to c4. So those would be the things. Yeah. Those would be the things. If you want to do something with the knight on h4, you will need like 2 tempi to getting this guy relaunched via g2, and then if you're lucky via f4, if you want to hope to do something with the knight on h4. Other than that, I really don't know what else you could do with the knight on h4. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure, Angelis, because he's got 53 minutes. That's almost, let's put it this way, that's almost 1 hour. It's possible, especially if you go under a minute or so. But if he takes his time, I think it's quite okay. This game is far from over. So this game is not over. In terms who's gonna blunder, I don't know, maybe we're talking about one of the strongest chess players on the planet for sure now. So these guys, they do this for a living. That's their bread and butter. We're expecting from them to play the better chess, the best chess on the planet. So that's you considering maybe. Yeah, below a minute, anyone can blunder, including Magnus. As we've seen it in the past, even with the strongest. Lack of time generates bad choices. So when I depicted the yellow lines for the arrows for the white knight, I was just thinking for active ways to get the knight to actually do something. Otherwise, you're going to keep the knight on h4 there forever. So, yeah. But I highlighted my candidate moves here. Rook e1, e2, c4, knight g2 for knight f4. You know, this kind of stuff. If you push c4, you're not able to, having the guy on f3, after you play rook e1 to e2, you're not able to play knight d2 to c4 because your pawn just took the square. So, yeah, the knight on f3 will kind of stay there for a while. They can't go to many places. Yeah, probably he should try knight g2 and see what black decides to play. Yeah, but I'm liking rook e1, e2. At the same time, I like that move as well. You guys, if you think differently, let me know. But that's how I look. That's how I see it for the time being. And let's look at Alireza and Fabi. Fabi suffers indeed. That's a purely defensive stuff. Bishop f6. It's a defensive stuff here. I think you should seriously consider h6 here with white. If not h6, I mean, why not? You really want to open up the g file. You want to open up the g file. If you're playing with white, you're having your white rooks connected. h6 seems to be one of those stuff you may want to play. Also e4. Also bishop g5. Now this guy is hanging now. It's worth noting now, guys, that after bishop f6, which defends g7 naturally, the pawn on h5 is hanging. So you got to decide how you're going to play with this. You got to decide. So what do you play? Do you play bishop g5 or do you push h6? And given that Alireza actually enjoys 70 minutes on his clock, as you guys can read it right now, he got 1 hour 10 minutes. He got more than enough time to decide. This is a deciding moment. This is a watershed moment for white here. This is very important. Incredibly crucial moment here. h6 is a big choice here for white now. As of bishop g5, as of e4. So you got to choose carefully the next move you're going to play now. I'm liking h6. I appreciate g5. And e4, it's a perennial idea. But I guess h6. No bishop g5. I did say bishop g5. And there you go. He just played it. I did say bishop g5 as one of my top choices in that position, and now you see it being a concrete move on a screen. Bishop g5. That's been just played as we speak. If bishop takes now, obviously rook takes back, and as we said, that will allow white to play the other rook from a1 over to the g file, further pressure, increasing pressure on the g file. So looks very good for Alireza. It's step by step increasing. Position is being improved for white to play this. White is definitely getting better and better step by step by step. I'm not sure anymore about the efficiency of e4. Maybe after all, but he took with the queen. Okay, bishop has to take, right? You got to take. Bishop takes. Pawn has to take. And you're going to play rook g7 regardless. f3 being protected by the knight. You could double up your rooks. If that's not strong, I don't know what's strong. There you go. Bishop takes f6, exactly as we said. And they took g takes f6. We did say that. So you probably should be considering rook g7, rook ag1. Why not? You got to do this. And maybe some queen to b5 at some point. And I guess white is getting really, really good at this now. Really good for white. Rook g7, rook ag1. And that's really good for white here. Queen b5 probably really getting better. G1 to g7. Definitely. Fabulous, 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 fabulous. What about the Inglaterra here? Ooh! Queen takes c3. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right. If not rook ac1, I don't know what. Hey, he played rook f. Rook f. Huh. This Dingleram guy, he really delivers. That's definitely a little bit unexpected. The stuff with rook f to c is that it allows bishop to f if necessary. But why? Why not rook a to c though? I thought that actually the correct way. So let me just go back a bit. I did say rook ac, right? But I didn't think for a sec rook f to c. That's weird. Really weird. I thought you were meant to play the other rook on the a. Look at this one, David. That's weird, man. That's really weird. Rook f to c. Why not rook a to c? I don't know. Okay, we'll take it as it is. We'll take it as this. Rook f to c. Okay, okay. Fine. Rook f to c1. Fine. Queen's got to go. That's goes without saying. Queen must go. Probably back. Probably back. Well, do you have any other option? No. So you got to go back. There's no other option. So that's a forcing move, so to speak. Could we see, after queen f6, could we see the crazy rook takes c6? Yes, yes, yes. We can see the crazy rook takes c6, which is a tactic. And if pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes. Yes, yes. I guess there is a tactic floating in the air that starts with rook c6. Rook c6. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Rook takes c6. Rook takes c6 attacks the queen. Even if you take with the queen, queen takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and I'm attacking two rooks at once, you're going to have to move the bishop. I'm going to take your rook. You're going to take back. This is just great. This is just great. I'm going to leave it like this because I think rook takes c6 is going to happen. I haven't checked anything with no engine or something, but as a human, I'm looking at c6 and looks like you're gonna take rook c6, right? You took a piece, you attack the queen. You got to react to this. You have to take back. You must take back. Rook takes, b takes, queen takes, bishop takes, bishop a6, bishop takes f, rook takes f, or bishop takes a8, rook takes a8. You're going to end up with two minors and rook versus one rook and two minors. Wow. Okay, guys, tell me your honest opinion. What do you think about rook c6? Because it looks to me this is the move. This is the pivotal moment now for Dingleram. This is the moment. Is he going to decide to do rook c6 or not? This is the moment. This is the biggest moment for Dingleram. Rook takes c6. I really need to go grab another coffee or something. What a fabulous round number 2. What a fabulous round. And this guy's game, I love this game so much. And I do love the Alireza Fabi's game. Also immense spectacle there. Magnus Nakamura, the least spectacular game, but very, very complicated, that one too. But this one is beautiful now. If I am to make an aesthetical hierarchy, can I do that? If I am to do an aesthetical hierarchy of the 3 games we're witnessing this evening, my friends, I'm going to give it a first place to this game, Dingleram Prague. As for the aesthetics, superb game also, Alireza Fabi. And the third place would go Magnus-Hikaru. That one is the most unspectacular, if I may say that. I mean, what's not to like about this one? Especially if, well, Oh my god. Yeah, absolutely rook c6. Oh my god, this is crazy. Notice how the queen can't take on a1 because the knight on b3 defends it. Jesus. Probably Ding is going to give it like a couple of more minutes. He wants to make sure he covers everything after rook takes c6. There is no surprise that might happen. And if he is happy with his findings, he is going to proceed taking on c6. Nice and cool. And now I do have to go get that coffee, and I'll just return in a matter of seconds or minutes. Okie dokie, guys. All right, see you in a bit then. Just alrighty. Let's see if they moved anything. Let's see if they played. No, he didn't move yet. Okay, okay. Alright, that'll do. Okay. Oh my god, he moved. He moved. '92. He moved '92. Look, I'm gonna have to try something, David. I'm gonna have to try something. I'm going to play rook. No, I'm going to just ask the engine here because I think this is pivotal moment. If rook takes c6 is the correct move or not, we must know. Because Dingaran, he thought a great deal of time, and he went for knight d2, which is understandable. I mean, I can understand knight d2. If you look at knight e4 or something, I mean, okay, I kind of understand. But I need to know if rook c6 is objectively playable here. So I'm going to do this. So we have to know. No, probably it's a blunder. Knight d2, h4, knight c5. It's a blunder. Plus 0.35. What did I miss? bc. Queen c. Queen c actually works great. Mind you, the line I had calculated with queen c6, bishop c6, bishop e6, and bishop takes a8, it's actually great stuff for white. Actually, the move is bishop e6, black mustn't take. So the line I had calculated, it wasn't wrong per se. But what I did miss is bishop e6. Now you gotta have to go queen f3 or queen c1 or something. Let's just consider this one. Queen takes f, bishop takes, and rook's gotta go. This is so many moves. And that's the stuff. And actually you're ending up very badly. 3 minors on rooks, 2 minors and 2 rooks. And alright, so that one, rook c6 doesn't work because bishop e6, they're not going to take your guy. Obviously, it was a hopeful chess. That was a hopeful chess. Now let's go back. So rook cc wouldn't have worked due to bishop e6. So David, these are the moments that are actually deciding when we win or lose. The fact I misevaluated and I thought that actually they were taken on c6 was a projection. Bishop e6 would have been chosen by black there. So that's how actually we get to losing. All right. So knight d2 after all is indeed the stuff for white to do, which he did play. So that's a super grandmaster playing. Rook c6, it's interesting. If black would have taken on c6, yeah, of course, would have been better. Let's go quickly to this. Where were we last time? This one. Oh, we missed a couple of things here. This, bishop d7, rook ae, bishop c6. I understand. King g3, moving away from the pin. Rook e6, okay. b3. c4, I did highlight c4 indeed. a5 to try to undermine. a4 to shut it off. No, to stop it. Knight g2, I did say knight g2 ages ago. I did say knight g2 for knight f4. I did say that. And g5. Thank you very much for following, my friend, whoever they are. Emma, thanks for following. All right, g5. Rook e1 to e2. I did say about that move as well. Rook d1 getting on the back rank. Rook knight to e. Probably they want to relaunch the knight. The question is if it's d3 or if it's c2. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure. How do you want to get that knight? Probably want to get the knight on d3 to just, if they play knight e5, you want to take them off ASAP. Yeah, so Emma, if you came for chess, you're welcome. We just do chess here and nothing else. Knight e1. Knight e1 for knight d3. In case knight e5, you're going to take him. You're going to take him. Yeah. Very likely. Very likely. Let's see. It is Naka's turn anyway. Yeah, he's on 42 minutes. The time is very much similar for both players. Okay, next game. Ali Reza, what are these guys though? Knight to b3. Knight to b3, well, you can always go c5, right? It's black's turn to play. 25 minutes, Fabi. The big question, now obviously you can't really go here. Well, you can, but you're going to get checked. attacking this, attacking that, attacking this. So knight to b3 is that kind of move that actually really makes your king very awkwardly positioned. Where do you get a king? Genuine question. Not mentioning rook g7 and rook a to g. So it's completely dominating by white here. I'm gonna play again that little game of ours, David. I'm gonna give it an eval and then I'm gonna check with the engine. I think it's a very, very hefty plus here. It's a plus for sure, but I'm not sure exactly. Okay, plus 0 point, plus 0 point. No one. They just keep playing. Plus 0.80, plus 0.90 for white. No, they say it's perfectly equal. Interesting. Perfectly equal. Perfectly equal. Okay, this guy is hanging on f3. Maybe we have to address that one first. But it's Blackstone. If they're going to be taking, I guess we could do rook g3. Sorry, I thought it's white. No, it's Blackstone, right? Okay, f3 is hanging. Takes, attacks. Well, they don't have to take f3, do they? They go back and then rook ag. How is this very equal, I wonder? Because looks like the potential for attacking being white here is huge. I mean, if you just throw rook to g7 and already it's quite demanding. Okay, rook f7 stopping any rook g7. I understand that. Okay, rooks are going to come off the board now, guys. So rook g3, rook here. It doesn't matter what you do. Rook's going to get traded. Rooks are going to get traded. Yes. Okay, game is going to get now very, very much simplified. So Hikaru and Magnus are still playing. And because you've asked the question, let's go briefly and see what they play here. So this is Hikaru and Magnus as we speak. Last move being knight f to e1. In my understanding, would like to go over to d3 and trade off the black knight if black knight were to be playing on e5. That's how I understand this. I might be wrong. If you think differently, let me know. Because knight to c2 doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where you want to go unless you want to play a long journey just getting your guy here. But that's such a long journey to do, and I'm not sure what's the benefit of it. Whereas knight d3 might be something, maybe followed by the other knight, you know. How many minutes they got left? Well, 40 minutes more or less, both of them. That's plenty of time. Plenty of time to deciding the best moves to play. It may end up in a draw. I don't know what happened with the Hikaru's advantage. Maybe he doubled up on the wrong file. Maybe he was supposed to double up on the E file rather than getting rooks on the back rank now. It's hard to say. It's difficult to say. We'll see about that. And the third game, Dingley ran and so bishop e6, of course. Well, bishop e6, queen to b5, queen to b5. Pressure on this one. I always wonder. Well, you can't take with the rook now, but you can definitely take with the bishop. Yeah, but there is another rook coming. I'm not sure. I'm not sure just yet. Maybe rook a to b1? Not really, because this bishop attacks on a2. So I'm not sure this thing's going to happen, actually. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Really not sure. So, what was the last move? Queen to b5, moving away from the bishop's attack. I guess black needs to get the other rook in action. Whatever that means. Could you play this? Could you play that? Of course you can. Rook a c8, rook a d8, at least, oopsie. If rook a d8, you're going to be attacking the knight on d2. So that's probably not a bad stuff. But of course, knight can go here with tempo attacking queen. So that's something. There is something. So whatever you choose to play with the rook on a8, definitely white can play rook d2 to e4 next. I'm not sure if you could really stop it now. You can't stop this guy now. Unless you want to play bishop f5, which I'm not sure how good that is. To just stopping a knight. I'm really not sure about bishop f5. No. Queen goes here. Why? Because maybe they want to play this. And goes away. Queen goes on to h6. Also, prophylactically moving away from the knight e4 future attack. So queen to h6 goes sort of like anticipatory away from knight's attack and preparing perhaps bishop h3. Perhaps. Maybe. Maybe. Still knight e4 can happen though. I don't see why not. It's difficult to say. There's quite a few pieces here. 3 minor pieces right in the middle of the board. It's, you know. Knight can play on c4 as well. If I'm looking at the position. Half an hour for Ding-Luren and 46 minutes for Prague. Actually, Knight can go also to c4. That's true. They can. Of course they can. Knight c4. Of course they can. So you gotta tell me, guys, if you think knight c4 better or knight e4. But nope, bishop c5, taking the bishop off the game. That guy was super active. I just love how Ding plays. I absolutely love how Ding chooses to do. He takes off the bishop on b6, which is very active. He takes the bishop off the game. Well, you can't really drop down c7 because the queen just takes. So you can't really do that. So that's more or less needed to take. Can you pin the bishop? Not really. Not really. I mean, you could try, but not a big deal. Nah, not mentioning knight e4 and things, so that's not going to work. So bishops will get traded now, which is incredibly beneficial for Ding because that bishop was dangerous. That bishop was really dangerous. And there is another subtlety here, David. We know currently the bishop attacks a2. After bishop a3 had been moved and hopefully trading the black bishop on b6, you can push the a pawn, getting rid of the weakness on a2. So the pawn on a2 will no longer be a target after say a4 or something. Just trying to make sense of the many consequences taking place here. So that guy's gonna get traded now. Bishop takes, and probably you're gonna take with what? Rook or queen? If you take with a rook, you know what's nice? You also can play this. Let me just highlight. If bishop takes, rook takes, you might have at some point some rook to h5, and if they play g6, they will stop you. That's for sure. But also you kind of like blocking the queen on the h file if you do g6 here for black. To stopping rook to h5. If you play g6, you're blocking queen. So that should be resulting in trading off the bishops. A bit of a forcing move here. Yeah, a bit of a force. You kind of are forced, right? You kind of have to trade the bishop. Bishop takes, rook takes. I think it's good. I think it's good. And white is doing a little bit, just a bit better. Maybe plus 0.40, plus 0.60. White is doing just slightly better here. Pieces activity matters so much. b7 a weakness, and bishop on g2 really, really dominating on the a8 h1 diagonal. So that is Dingley Ren and Prague. Let's go to Magnus stuff. What do the boys do here? This. Okay, double up. Okay, double up. There's no knight coming on d3 or anything now because you're going to drop your guy. And Magnus has to think again. And you can't play knight e3. Definitely Nakamura can play knight e5 though. So that is something. He can. He definitely can. It's white's turn, by the way. How do you improve here things with white? Do you go h4? I think you could do h4. Well, they can always play h6. I mean, that's not doing a big progress of nothing. If you play h4, you can, but you're not going to do anything. It's not a great achievement or something. You could do it, but black just plays h6, and that's just about it. That would be it. Knight e5, h4, h6, and again, even if you trade, then they take back with h. You're not gonna do nothing. What's the bigger plan here for white though? Apart from defending, so apart from just try to defending yourself, what exactly is the attacking plan for white here? What do you exactly attack? Because it doesn't look very clear. It's not very clear. It's more like defensive game for Magnus. It's going to be difficult, strenuous, a long end game in which the position is currently, I think, towards black's advantage. But it's not clear how black can attack something or forcing anything. I don't see a clear way to attacking. Ali Reza. Yeah, piece is going to get traded here. I'm probably going to be draw and Dingley Ren. Well, Prague has to think about this one. I guess he kind of has to trade off the bishop. I guess he has to. That one is, let me just check. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay. Oh. Okay, he decided to play Prague here. Rook 8 to d8, attacking the knight. Now, let me tell you something. This guy can play straight away, maybe to e4. He can play just straight away. Or he may go very well to c4. Or do you take now with a bishop? Well, you can take bishop takes bishop. Pawn takes, and then knight c4. Bishop takes, queen takes. I think it's good for white. So it looks to me you've got a couple of candidate moves here. Let's just highlight the candidate moves. Bishop takes, knight c4, oopsie. So bishop takes, knight c4, bishop takes c6. You attack, takes and takes. No. The bishop has to stay here. The bishop has to stay here. This is a problem. So this is Prague's points of attack. I think he gotta take the Ding has to take on b6. With the bishop takes b6, it takes b6. And you have to play the knight to safety, whatever safety means. c4 maybe. Yeah, c4 maybe. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight c4. Okay. Yeah, you have to. I think it's good. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight c4. And the b6 pawn is just simply hanging. And you could take it next time with the queen so you can attack b7 as well. I think so. Bishop bit takes b6, a takes b6, knight c4. I think so. I think so, yes. Yeah. Is there any other choice here, I wonder, for Ding? I don't think so. I don't think so. Knight. I see. For bishop takes. Bishop takes. Did Magnus move? Ooh, what a surprising move. A rook to c3. What is it doing? Rook to c3. What is rook to c3? Now that is completely unexpected. Well, it's not that h4 would have brought a big modification or anything, but rook c3, really? Okay, rook c3. Blimey. Okay, yeah, he's just shuffling those rooks. I don't know to what end. It's not clear. What is clear is that black can play this. That is clear. Magnus is that's defending and holding the position. That's it. There's no clear plan. He's not attacking anything with rook c3. He doesn't attack anything. And Ding Liren has to decide what to play here. Okay, right. What is Ding going to play? It's a very good question. I would take on b6. I would definitely take on b6. Yep. Well, one of these two. It's been highlighted already. That's what I would consider playing. And this one here, just very uneventful. Very uneventful from Magnus's point of view. Incredibly uneventful. This one here probably is getting towards a draw, and therefore they're going to be playing an Armageddon, because that looks like a draw to me. Yep, that's about it. Hey, that is surprising. Why wouldn't you play the knight on e5? Actually, you wanna get your guys a bit closer towards attacking your opponent. Why did he go? Why did he go knight d8? Oh, I think I know why. He played knight d8 because he wanna play knight e6, and then he wants to play this. That's exactly right. That's the thing. That is the thing. Probably. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, what do you want to get a knight? You want to get a knight in e6, right? Yeah, the knight on f7 anyway wasn't doing a great deal of nothing, whereas knight now to d8 with the prospect of moving them over to e6 definitely does do something. Yeah, he optimizes his pieces. He optimizes the pieces. He should be able to moving the king also to f7 perhaps. If there's any h4, he's going to play h6. I think it's absolutely fine. Nakamura is still doing a little bit better, I guess. Yeah. This one is a draw. This one is very, very tactical, very exciting. And the most spectacular game probably today is this one, guys. Alrighty. Rook a d8. Attacking the knight. Yeah, you should take on b6 here. Try to give them some weak pawn on b6 and then maybe attacking b7 and things. Yeah, bishop takes b6. Again, I don't see what else really. Knight e4. Yeah, I did highlight that move, but it didn't look... Okay, now the prospect of attacking b6 is even more obvious. Knight e4 is nice and safe and cool. What do you do about this one, though? Probably gonna take on b6 regardless. Bishop d5, bishop takes b6. Takes. That's something. Okay. There is things that could happen. Alrighty, folks. So, David, thank you very much. David, my friends, was there. I don't know who else was there. A couple of guys, new guys, came in via Twitch today and via Facebook. So I'm grateful for their presence too. Thank you very much. But David was very active today. I do appreciate Tal was at some point. And David, guys, thank you very much. And yeah, enjoy the remainder of the games now, guys. And I'm aiming to see you back maybe tomorrow if you guys are available. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow for the third classical round in the Norway Chess 2024. Okay, and yeah, well, subscribe to my YouTube. Probably you've done it already, my friends. And I'll see you shortly. Take care, guys, and see you soon.